Hello and welcome to my little bookish corner of the internet. My name's Harriet. Today I thought I'd do something a little bit different and actually talk about a film that I've watched recently. So I've never done this before on my channel. I do usually just talk about books, but I really wanted to talk about this film because I know there's been a lot of controversy surrounding it, particularly with something that the director has said. So I'm going to be talking about The Last Duel, which is directed by Ridley Scott. This came out really recently and I did watch it on Disney Plus about a week ago. So I've got fresh thoughts, I've got some things that I've researched as well. So I'm excited to talk about it. I will be discussing the main plot, which is in the synopsis of the film, but other than that, I'm going to try and keep it spoiler free for you. So yeah, let's get into this. Now I'm going to start with the kind of plot of the film and what I thought of it, and then that will tie into the controversy surrounding it and the things that the director did say about how well the film performed or how poorly it performed. So yeah, let's talk about the plot. This is based on a true story and it's set in 1386, and we are following three main characters. I had to write them down because I do not remember them. So you've got Jean de Carew, sorry if I'm ruining these names, I'm not French, I don't speak very good French. You've got Jacques Legris and Marguerite. Now Jean de Carew is played by Matt Damon and he is one of the main characters and he gets married to Marguerite, and we're following his relationship with her and what he has to deal with when Marguerite accuses Jacques Legris of raping her. Jacques Legris is played by Adam Driver and then Marguerite is played by Jodie Comer. So there are three main characters and their stories are very closely interwoven with each other. This movie is actually split into 3 chapters. Each chapter is actually told from the perspective of each of these characters. Marguerite is the last story to be told, and they are all named as that character's truth, as how they told it. And as we go through the film, there are some events that repeat, but there are always subtle changes, and I feel like those changes are very interesting because it shows that character, or it shows another character's personality from how that character sees them, kind of thing. So that was really interesting, and I think that it helped to develop the characters quite a lot, and it helped the audience to see their kind of true selves, although you are never really 100% sure who is the person that's telling the truth, and it's all kind of left open to interpretation. So these things did happen. However, Marguerite's chapters actually had to be kind of pulled together with research because no one truly knows what exactly did happen and whether the rape that she's accusing Jack of actually happened or if it was something else that happened. No one truly knows because back then they didn't actually record these things because the treatment of women is very different back then compared especially to modern day. So as I say, it's kind of open to interpretation, and I think that with the knowledge that we have these days, you do eventually side with Marguerite because you see how these men are treating her and you can see their personality coming through in each story, so you can kind of piece it together a little bit. But yeah, we don't actually truly know what happened. We just have to side with who we believe. And I think everyone's going to have a very different experience with this. Both me and my partner, by the end of it, were just like, okay, wow, yeah, she went through some horrible stuff. But I don't know how everyone else's experience would be. Sorry, by the way, if I sound poorly. I've had a really rubbish couple of days. I've not been very well, but I wanted to film because otherwise I'm going to forget everything. But yeah, the third and last chapter, which is Marguerite's, had to basically be entirely rewritten and pieced together because there wasn't actually anything that was reported and there was no one that actually witnessed the rape apart from the man that was doing it, and of course he denied it happening because back then if you're accused of rape it would bring a massive shame on your family and you would be kind of dragged through the streets and killed, which is awful, but I mean, don't rape people. So yeah, that's the main story. As I say, I really enjoyed the way that it was split into 3 chapters. There were events that repeated, but there were subtle changes, so it didn't seem boring or repetitive. It was actually very interesting, and I was looking forward to those moments that repeated so I could see how each character interpreted what happened. And I found the differences between Marguerite and Jean's relationship so very different. Everyone always sees themselves as the hero, and then you get to see it from another perspective and you see just how different their relationship was, and it was horrible. He treated her awfully, at least from her perspective, whereas from his perspective he thought that he was the best husband ever. Like, he was really nurturing and he was very kind and all he wanted was to protect her, whereas from her perspective he was very abusive and he was all about honour and he didn't trust her. At one point he literally calls her a whore for wearing a low-cut dress. So yeah, huge differences, but it would make sense for him to be like that because of the time that it was set in and the way that women were treated back then. So that's why I think you are more inclined to believe Marguerite, because hers is really the only side that would get to see that kind of stuff and would be honest and open about that kind of stuff, whereas the men were always thinking that that was just the natural thing to do because that's how things were back then. Whereas now we're in a different time where women's voices are more listened to and people take these things a lot more seriously. It's not expected to beat people these days because that's so messed up, and it's crazy that that's how it used to be. And women have, like I say, more of a voice and more power now, which is amazing. So yeah, I think that it is the perfect time to make this film. But now I want to talk about how the director has dealt with the underperformance of this film. So the director is Ridley Scott. I have never watched any of his films that I do not love. I think that he's an amazing director. I've really enjoyed all of his films, including this one. It was such a good film. I really had a good time with it, but there were times when it was hard to watch because obviously it's dealing with heavy subject matters. But basically, this film underperformed, and Ridley Scott said that it was because of millennials not being able to get off their phones. Now, how do I talk about this? So I don't think that it's fair to blame an entire generation or an entire group of people on your film not doing well when there are obviously outside factors that affect how a film does. For example, a worldwide pandemic, poor advertisement, people just generally not going to the cinema anymore, and the fact that this film is so long. I think it's 2.5 hours. I'll leave the runtime on the screen now, but it's a very long film, and it's also dealing with a very heavy subject matter that some people literally can't watch. The rape scene in this is very graphic and you see it twice, so people aren't always going to watch that. Some people will not be able to watch that, and they're not going to go to the cinema to see a film that they cannot watch half of it. It also does deal with abuse, which some people will not be able to watch or feel comfortable watching. I'm very lucky in that I've dealt with neither of those things, and for me it was really hard to watch, and I was in tears for the majority of the film. Yeah, it was a really tricky subject matter, and some people are just generally not going to go and see that film. It's also set in the 1300s. Some people just don't like watching historical fiction. It's not their thing, it's not their favourite genre of film, it's not something they're going to go out and actively seek to watch. Maybe they'll watch it on Disney+, maybe they'll watch it on a streaming service, but they won't necessarily go and watch it straight away. And it wasn't exactly hyped up. I haven't seen it advertised on my social media anywhere. I haven't seen it advertised anywhere apart from Disney+, actually. So if you don't have Disney+, I don't know where you're going to see that it exists. So yeah, there are definitely outside factors, and you cannot blame an entire generation of people for not seeing your film because they can't get off their phones. However, I do think that the use of social media, and especially things like TikTok, I do think that they are altering our attention spans a little bit. I can't speak for everyone, obviously I'm just one person, but for me, I have felt my attention span kind of waning since I've been using social media because I was brought up without it, and then I got into my teen years and was using it a bit more. I try very hard not to go on it too much anymore because I feel like it affects everything. I actually can't sit down and read a book if my phone is near me because I will be picking it up just out of habit, which is awful. So yes, I do think that the use of mobile phones and social media has affected our attention spans, at least from personal experience, I've noticed that, and from my partner as well. And I do think maybe people are less inclined to go and watch longer films, especially ones that deal with true stories that are set so long ago, such a long time ago. Maybe people can't connect with it anymore. But yeah, I do think that people are more inclined to watch shorter films or watch series instead, or something that's just not as intense that you have to put your entire focus into, because you do have to watch this film. You can't be on your phone and also watch this film because you'll miss all those subtle differences between the 3 chapters that help you to decide whose story you're going to believe and help you to determine what those characters are really like. So yeah, like I said, I don't think you can blame an entire generation, or you can blame technology or social media, because there are many things that helps us with, and it is great for certain things. It's great for meeting new people and it connects us, and I just don't think that it's the only factor that went into this film performing badly. And I think it was wrong for Ridley Scott to specifically say it's millennials because they can't get off their phone. Maybe he should have incorporated it into something and been like, oh, you know, people don't want to watch a film that's that long, but I wish they'd give it a chance, something like that. I don't know, I just think it was handled very poorly, and I agree and disagree with the statement. So yeah, I'd be very interested to know what you think to that. I know everyone is very pissed off with him and they're not seeing this film because of that. I personally didn't know about this before I watched it, and then I saw kind of the controversy and I researched it a bit before filming this video. And I'm finding it very interesting because people are kind of boycotting it now and boycotting the director. I personally wouldn't do that. I think this is a film that has a very powerful message behind it. and it was very interesting. I actually looked up the story afterwards because I wanted to know what happened, because it is left kind of ambiguous in a way, depending how you interpret the film. And I thought it was a very good film. I think that the acting was amazing. Adam Driver really shocked me. Sometimes he's in things and I think he does okay, but he played this role spectacularly, and his role literally made me sick to my stomach. But that's because he was doing such a good job. The character itself is a really horrible character, but I think everyone did amazingly, and the acting was phenomenal. Production value was definitely up there. It is directed very well. So yeah, please give this a go if you're thinking about watching it. I do think that it's worth it. You're gonna have to put aside some time, and you probably won't be able to sit on your phone, but it was definitely an experience, and yeah, I'd recommend it to anyone. I thought it was really good, and my partner felt the same as well. So yeah, like I say, if you've watched this, let me know what you thought of it. If you haven't, but you've heard about the controversy, obviously you're watching this and finding out about it for the first time, do let me know what you think about it. As I say, I think that it's wrong to blame an entire generation, but I also do agree that perhaps us being on our phones all the time, especially things like TikTok, where it's short videos kind of one after the other continuously until you click off of the app. I don't have TikTok. I think that's how it works. I've been sent TikTok videos before, but I don't actually have the app, so I think that's how it works. But yeah, I do think that that has affected how long we can sit down and pay attention to something. Not just films, just reading, anything, just tasks in general. We're always reaching for our phones. But this is definitely a film that I do think that you need to concentrate on. Same as some of Ridley Scott's other films. I mean, for goodness sake, Alien. You can't sit on your phone and watch Alien because then you won't be immersed in it. I always try to turn my phone off when I'm watching a film because I don't want to be distracted. So yeah, I kind of get it, but I'm also, I understand why people are annoyed. Yeah, anyway, that's enough of the rambling. I hope you enjoyed today's video. I know it's not a book review, but I really definitely wanted to make a video about this. And like I say, let me know what you think down in the comments. But thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!